This is the biggest macro opportunity we've ever been given, right? This is a wealth generating machine, and people need that break. They need that opportunity to unfuck their future, and this is the big one. So it matters to me. We've all seen it. We've all fucked up in various ways in the past, and we were as you know. And this this time around, we've got to get it right. We've got to get it right. I think I will be very unhappy if we leave people behind. Now, I know it's going to be terrible at the top and people are going to be pointing fingers at each other. We've gone through that too. But generally, if we can get people up this curve safely in the best way they can, we're going to change people's lives. And I think that really matters.
I want to talk about how we do that, because as fun as it is to talk about Bonk and Dog with Hat and all of these things, those are going to have their own mini cycles, most likely, right? A lot of these are going to have their big pop. They're going to drop. People are going to buy the top, sort of mini cycles of that macro cycle you just described. But how should you position for the larger cycle? I mean, that's where you want to just kind of have the bulk of your portfolio, in my opinion, in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, and do nothing, right? I talk about this all the time. We see drops from 72,000 to 69,000 on Bitcoin, and you see $500 million liquidated, and those are all people who are right. Those are people who are long. Right? They're long on an asset that's only going up, and they lose all their money.
Yeah, a friend of mine who I won't name, who you know as well, has been a professional trader his whole life, had taken leverage out in Solana, had a wick down, he lost $2 million of his position. And it's like, come on, you know better. We don't need to do this. The problem is again, at this point in the cycle, we all lose our minds. It's really hard not to. So you start thinking, well, Sol's probably only got an 8x to go and I want to make more money, right? And then you start doing dumb shit. And we've just got to not do that. And I know it's really hard. As you rightly say, doing nothing is the superpower here. This is not the last cycle. This is not the end of the world. Just, this is a longer game to be played, but just do that. And then when you can, maybe at the end of the year, take a bit of money off the table, cash in a few lifestyle chips, you can then run the rest. And you can run it into a bear market. I ran the entire bear market on purpose because I wanted to add through it and just stay with it. Because you don't know how it's going to go. Is the next time around, is it going to go down 70% or is it going to go down 50%? You've no idea. So the best thing is set your time horizon, take some lifestyle chips off the table at some point, and then you can take all the risk you want.
Listen, I bought every Bitcoin dip on the way down. We went from 69 to 52. I said that could be the bottom. Didn't think necessarily it was. Bought 52, bought 42, bought 32, bought 21, bought 17. Got ridiculed very loudly on Twitter. How dare you not buy the bottom? Same people ridiculing Saylor every time he buys. It's not the bottom. How dare he? Don't recall ever buying any Bitcoin that's not currently in profit.
No. And that's the point. People forget this is not a cyclical market. This is a market in a log uptrend. It's an exponential trend over time. So it covers most sins, which is what's so magical about it. You can buy the high. I mean, I launched a fund of hedge funds in crypto at the absolute peak of the market. And before you know it, every single investor was underwater because the market went down. But, with a long enough time horizon, everybody's back in profit again now. And, it works. You just have to trust the process.
Yeah. So let's talk about something else. To you, what would be the actual top signals? When does it, you said sort of maybe at the end of the year, time to take chips off the table. Historically, we should have another 18 months of this. Easy, right? If we're looking at the halving cycle and more importantly, the liquidity cycle that you've so eloquently discussed in the past, maybe crypto doesn't really just have a halving cycle, right? It's part of this greater liquidity cycle that happens every 4 years. What signals will we start to get?
Because I just want to go back on that one sec. I cannot believe that we've been given this opportunity. I mean, basically all you have to do is buy Bitcoin down 80%, hold it, and it goes up 10x. I mean, it's like every 4 years, like clockwork. I mean, it's bananas that we've been given this. It's like the morons trade. It's the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, it's fun, but nobody believes it. Right. So, I mean, it's fun to talk about it. And now we've actually sort of broken that cycle by making a new all-time high in advance of the halving. What's funny is that a lot of people then say, oh, the cycle's not going to exist. It's going to be shorter. Is that just PTSD? Like, I mean,
I
because it
think
feels
it
like
is. I've been thinking.
that's a catalyst for larger prices, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've been thinking through this a lot and seeing this. It's a left translated cycle, which is a fancy term for saying it's going to be short and sweet. I don't see any reason why that should be the case, why this whole liquidity cycle has changed. I mean, the governments aren't changing the debt maturity. Nothing seems to be changing. Therefore, I think the shifting probability is this ends up being a full bubble.
That's
Something like 2013, you even get that double pump, which is the hardest thing in the world to trade, right? You think it's over because it's done a massive move. It corrects 50% and then rockets up. I don't know what it did, another 10x or something stupid in 2017. These markets are tricky. They're very tricky to deal with looking for tops. One thing I do know is people talk about, Coinbase being number one in the App Store. That doesn't make sense because they've already got 110 million accounts set up. It's the number of active accounts. I think you have to go to the Coinbase kind of quarterly statement and just see how many active accounts, because at the low, I think they got down to about 9 million out of 110. Let's talk again when we're at 50 million active accounts, and then we can say, it's probably pretty frothy.
Yeah, people always point at the Google searches for Bitcoin. They're exceptionally low. We've got to be early. And literally everybody knows about Bitcoin. Like, who needs to Google search Bitcoin anymore? So I think some of these metrics, much like the Coinbase one, are somewhat dead. Now, if we see Google searches starting to skyrocket for Ethereum again, or Solana, or maybe something that every institutional investor isn't aware of, I think those could start to be signals of froth. But I agree with you. I don't think Coinbase gets to number one in the store again because they signed everyone up already.
That's right. But, this whole ETF thing has been fascinating. I don't think any of us imagined it was going to be this big, this fast.
No, I had Matt Hogan on from Bitwise yesterday and said to him, something to the effect of, you guys are at 2 billion. I think everybody in hindsight would have been pleased if BlackRock was at 2 billion 6 months in, much less 2 months. Now BlackRock's at 15. It's crazy. These numbers are crazy. I mean, far exceeding any expectations, like you said.
And I'm actually surprised Bitcoin's not up more.
Yeah,
considering
who's
right?
selling? I want to know. I'm always shocked at how big the whales are in this market that can sell, right? Or who can trigger these liquidation cascades, sell, probably buy lower. But the amount of Bitcoin some of these guys who are willing to YOLO against the ETF trade is astounding. We see it every cycle.
A lot of these are the Asian trading shops. That's where the real whales lie in all of this.
Do you think that any of this institutional money that's coming into the spot ETF can actually trickle down the risk curve to the wild, low cap altcoins, the cycle we've seen before, Bitcoin, Ethereum, down to mid caps, all the way down? Or do you think that actually there's a wealth effect coming from the institutional investors into the spot ETF that's causing sort of more liquidity to come into the rest of the market?
Well, because you've now got confidence to take more risk because the main asset's going up. So, I mean, look, Bitcoin goes up, whatever. Let's say it's gone up 100% over the last, I don't know. Let's say in the last 90 days, let's say it's gone up 100%. I don't know what the exact number is. Well, Dog Whiff Hat has gone up 1,600%. There is the risk curve writ large.
Yeah, but like you said before, that's the crypto degens who are doing that. That's not the money coming from the ETF. It's the ETF buying, signaling that the market is safe to do wild things.
That's right. And it's creating wealth that you can sell some of your Bitcoin to buy something a little more speculative. So you start seeing the shift. You're seeing it in ETH, right? There's quite a lot of people shifting out of ETH into Sol or into meme coins to get a bit of extra juice. So that's just the risk curve working, because the risk curve is basically, I want to take more risk and get higher returns, and therefore I'll sell some of my less racy assets to buy racier assets.
I actually saw some interesting takes about Solana. You've obviously said, I believe, if it's that shorter cycle, we get maybe $500 Solana. If we go nuts, maybe $1,000 Solana. I totally agree with that.